Your 20s are supposed to be the best years of your life, but no one really talks about how confusing, messy, and transformational they actually are. Hi everyone, welcome to Simply Becoming Her, a space where we talk about personal growth, self discovery, and the journey of becoming the women you are meant to be. I am your host, Viviane Marie France, and I am so happy that you are here. It's in March. Since it's my birthday month, I have been reflecting a lot about life and the lessons my 20s had taught me so far. So, in today's episode, I am sharing 10 lessons from my 20s. Lessons that shaped me, challenged me, and helped me grow into the woman I am becoming. But before we dive into that, I just want to say again, thank you very much for being here. This is my first episode of my first podcast, and I am a little bit nervous, but having you here is so reassuring. So let me take a sip of water and dive into the lessons. So the first lesson that I learned in my 20s is that you have to invest in yourself. This is the best investment you can do for yourself. And this is something that I wished people told me when I started my 20s. And investing in yourself can look different for different people. For example, for me, investing in myself looks like going back to school, taking my education seriously, investing in my career, drinking my water, going for a walk, investing in my friendships. So when I started my 20s, nobody sat me down to tell me about, having a purpose, taking care of myself. And this is something that I wish someone told me. So that's why I am doing this. So if you're watching this and you're still in your 20s, it is not too late to start investing in yourself. It is not too late to take care of your body. It does not matter which size that you are. It does not matter where you're from. It is very, very important to invest in yourself. So let me categorize investing in yourself in three parts. The first one is your knowledge, and the second one is your body, and the third one is your health. So starting with your knowledge, investing in yourself looks like going back to school. I know so many people feel like in this new age of internet and AI, we don't need to go back to school because AI can do anything for you. People are going into careers like content creation because it is so easy to do and does not require you to have any degree. But if I may be honest with you, going to school and investing in your knowledge is going to help you become better in everything that you are doing. Educated people do things. I'm not trying to start a new movement, but I feel like this is my perspective, that educated people make better decisions. So don't leave school, don't drop out of school, invest in your education. Instead of dropping out, try to find something that you are passionate about, something that makes you excited to go back to school. A little testimony, if you don't know me, last year I went back for my master's, and for a little background, I finished my bachelor's in 2018. But later on, I've realized that my bachelor's was not really serving me in my career. So I decided to go back to school, and it has opened my eyes and opened so many doors than when I did not have the master's. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that you have to invest in things that make you more wise, that give you more wisdom. That is a way of investing in yourself, and it is very, very important. So I think the second point was your body. So investing in your body looks like going for a walk, drinking water, eating healthy, and minimize alcohol. Yeah, controversial. I know, I've been there, I've done that, but mostly in your 20s, that's when you want to party. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I feel like having those experiences shape you. They give you perspective into life, but also make sure that you are balancing everything. Have balance. Party, but also take care of your body. Start eating healthy, start going for a walk, start exercising. It does not matter if you're slim, because growing up I was really thin, and people used to tell me, you don't have to work out, your size is perfect, you don't need to lose weight. First of all, working out is not only for losing weight. People even work out to gain weight. Working out is going to serve not only your body, but also your mental health. when I go for a walk or when I go to the gym, it makes me feel happy. It makes me feel joyful. There is even studies about this. So please invest in your body. And another thing that I want to touch on is that investing in your body looks like going for your doctor's appointment, especially for the ladies. Start going for your gynecology visit. I'm not gonna lie, I have not done my first visit now that I'm 30, and I don't remember the last time I had my visit, and I'm ashamed, to be honest. But going to the doctors and being very consistent with your doctor's appointment is going to help you detect things early. It's going to help you take care of your body better. So start taking your health seriously. Stop putting toxin in your body just because you want to have fun. I know fun is good. I've had fun, but start thinking about your future years, because what you're doing to your body now is going to manifest itself in 10 years to come. So this is the right time to invest in yourself. Also, talking about your body and health, there's so many studies showing that non-communicable diseases are so prevalent. I don't know, I'm starting to use very scientific terms, but communicable diseases are a lot in the young generation. Why? Because we don't take things seriously and we are just having fun, not being very attentive, if I can say, about the things you're putting in our bodies. So make sure that from now on that you have listened to this podcast, you will start being more careful about what you do to your body and about your health. I think the third part was health, and health is really big. It can be mental health, physical health, your gut health, anything health. Make sure that whatever that you're doing, you are protecting yourself. The things you're doing now, as I mentioned, are going to manifest themselves in 10 years. If you're not careful with yourself and you do not invest in yourself, you're not going to be able to enjoy the money you're hardly working for. Talking about money, the second lesson that I learned in my 20s, is that you need to start working as early as possible. This is something that I wished people encouraged me to do. Start making money as soon as you can. So for a little background, I had my first job when I was 24, and that was like my high paying job. And it was really good because when you have money, that's when you that's when you know who you really are. And apart from that, money gives you freedom. Money opens your mind, because when you are at the stage where you can pay things by yourself and taking care of yourself, you start understanding the real perspective, the real life thing. Because when you are still depending on your parents and depending on your mom to do things for you, you don't realize how important money is. So I would suggest that you start working as early as possible. And if you are a parent listening to this, you should let your kids express themselves and try new things when they want to. Because one of the reasons why I didn't start working as early as possible is because my parents were very protective, and I'm not blaming them for that. They had their reasons, and they will not let me do those small jobs. They'll be like, no, we don't want you here, we don't want you to do this. And I did not learn about money when I was young. So trust me, my first years working were very not good, because I didn't know how to save, I didn't know how to budget, I didn't know anything about money. So I was just swinging it, and I started learning about effective ways to spend money and save when I was in my late 20s, when I was like 27, 28. So that is something that I learned the hard way, and I would highly recommend start working in your 20s, your early 20s. As long as you hit 20, you have your ID, start making money, go out there. Also, speaking about money, another lesson that I learned is that it is very important to have financial literacy. What I mean about financial literacy is basically knowing about finances, understanding why is it important to have a budget, Why is it important to have a saving account? Why is it important to have an emergency fund? Now at my big age, I am 30, I don't have an emergency fund, which means that if I don't, so an emergency fund is basically having money that can sustain your lifestyle for 6 months without you working. It's basically saving money that can sustain you in a period of 6 months if you did not have a job. Let me know in the comment section, do you have an emergency fund? I don't think so. Most of the people don't. Even when I'm having conversations with my friends, most of the people don't even know what is an emergency fund. And this is something that we should learn as soon as we hit 20. That is something we need to be taught, you know? So this is something that I had to learn the hard way. Money is good, spending money is nice, but you also need to be strategic about it. You need to use a budget. You need to save, because if you want to be a millionaire in your 30s or even in your 20s, working hard is good. It's going to bring in the money. But if you're not strategic about it, if you do not have the right financial literacy, you're not going to keep that money, which is why I say this is something that I had to learn the hard way. And I highly recommend young adults, people in their 20s, to start being very, very wise about their money. And this is also another way of investing in yourself, because if you save your money, you will be able to sustain yourself, to maintain yourself in the upcoming years. So that is something that I've learned the hard way as well. I feel like the financial part of my life is something that I had to learn in a very hard way when I didn't have money and started realizing that I wish I had made different choices before. Another lesson that I learned in my 20s is that, which is my fourth one, I think, is that you can reinvent yourself over and over again until you find your true self. Stop putting yourself in a box. Now that I look back, it's been 10 years since I was in my 20s, since I turned 20. And I feel like 2016 me is totally different from the 2026 me. I have grown a lot. I have changed a lot. I have evolved a lot. And the reason why I am even here doing this, like 2016 me would not believe that I am recording a podcast. 2016 me will not believe that I will have even the masters, will not believe that I was able to create a platform, have a blog, have an audience, make money online, have jobs in big organization. 2016 me will not believe this. So one of the big and most beautiful things that happened to me in my 20s was the ability to allow myself to evolve. And it started when I started my content creation journey. So when you start content creation and you're really passionate about, it's going to push you try so many things. And the more you try, the more you learn about yourself. And the more, if you allow yourself, the more you grow. So if you are in your 20s, start putting yourself out there. Start allowing yourself to experience new people, new places. Stop trying to be the person people tell you they want you to be. Because growing up, people will tell me, oh, you will look good if you are a doctor. Oh, you should get married, you are getting in your late 20s. Where is your husband? Don't let people put you in a box. Allow yourself to grow. Go out there, meet new people. Allow yourself to try new experiences. That's how you're going to reinvent yourself and meet the best version of yourself in the process. So my fifth lesson is that not all friendships are meant to last. This needs a whole episode or season about it, because friendship is one of the things that I really learned about the most in my 20s, because growing up as the only daughter that I was, I always craved for female friendship, having sisters and everything. And through that craving and meeting different people, I get to learn that not everyone deserves to be your friend, not everyone is here to stay, not everyone, you know, will be part of your journey, and it is okay. You don't have any problem. You're not problematic. Some people are problematic, but losing people is part of the process of being alive. You know, some friends are meant to be seasonal. Uh, they're meant to stay for a season. There are people that God's gonna send into your life to help you grow, to help you evolve for a certain period, and then after that, God will take them away. You guys will fall apart, or we just simply stop talking, and that will be their part in your life. So don't try to force them to be in your life because you felt a spark with them for a given season. There are other people who are gonna come into your life to teach you a lesson. Let's say if you are an oversharer like me and you're always talking about everything, and then you meet someone who's gonna be betray your trust and make you feel like you overshare. That person's purpose in your life was to teach you to not overshare, and it is okay for them to walk away. I think in that lesson, I also learned to let people go because it is something that I really struggled with. I always wanted to be in control. I always wanted to be holding the reins and commenting everything, but I just came to realize that some seasons come and go, same as people come and go. So let it be. And also, some people are not even meant to be in your life. If someone is making you feel bad about yourself, making you feel awkward, making you doubt yourself, don't tolerate them, because in your head you're just like, this is for a reason. Some people are meant to be cut off your life, and it is totally okay. So another thing that I've learned in my 20s in regard of friendship is that friendship red flags are real, same as dating red flags are. So in my 20s, the only content that I consumed and I saw online was mostly about dating red flags. Like, if a guy does this, that's a red flag. Don't you dare date them. Don't you dare do this. But I also come to realize that there are some friendship red flags that you don't have to ignore. Let's say, as I mentioned earlier, if someone makes fun of you, if someone is not happy about you, if someone always make everything about themselves and they don't allow you to express yourself and experience life, those people are not your friend. So in your 20s and 30s, please take into consideration the red flags that someone is showing you, and always take people the way they show themselves to you. Don't try to make red green because you believe in themselves. That is something that I used to do, and it hurted me so bad. Stop trying to make excuses of why people are bad. Simple as that. Some people are just bad, and it's okay. So really take into considerations the red flags that you see. Another lesson that I've learned, which is very controversial, is that you need to decenter marriage. This is something that I learned when I was 29. Yeah. Because, as a woman, I want to get married. Don't get me wrong. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to travel the world with my husband. I want to find a man because I'm currently single. But getting married and having kids is not the only thing you're supposed to do here on earth. So the moment you find that there is more to life than that, life gets interesting. So when I tell people to decenter marriage, to decenter men, I'm not telling them to hate men. I'm not telling them to hate marriage. I'm not telling them to be single forever. I'm just telling them to allow themselves to experience life at the fullest. Because at the end of the day, it's not about marriage all the time. So you can tell yourself, for example, that if you are 30 as I am, or let's say if you're still in your 20s and you're just 20, 21, being married should not be the first thing you think about. That is my perspective, because I feel like in your 20s, that is when you start to explore and live life truly. So if you're always concentrated on getting married, finding a husband, there's so many things you're gonna miss out. If I can use my example, when I was in my early 20s, I really wanted to find love. I didn't want to get married, but I wanted to find love. I wanted to be in a relationship. So I will start the year, and in my 5 top goals, you will find me stating that that I wanted to find a boyfriend. So every place that I will go to, I'll be looking for guys that can be potential boyfriends. And in doing so, I feel like there's so many things that I missed out. There's so many good people that I missed out, and opportunities. And yes, I had the relationship that I wanted. It ended up being toxic, and then after that, I had to take like 2 years to heal. And last year, or basically this year, that's when I learned that it's not about marriage all the time. There is more to life. There is growing in your career. There is traveling. There is trying new food, having good friendships, and living life and allowing yourself and God. And basically, it's allowing God to do things when the time is right. So the moment you decentralize men, the moment you stop doing everything and revolving around men, life gets interesting. So the center marriage, because there's so many people who are not achieving their full potential because they're doing everything around marriage. Like someone is like, oh, I want to go back to school, I want to go for my PhD, but then they're just like, oh, but what if but I also want to get married, I also want to have kids. And you choose that. First of all, you don't even have a boyfriend, you don't have a partner in that moment, and you miss out an opportunity to make your life better because you're waiting for something you don't even know when it's gonna come. It also happened to me. I should have went back to school as soon as I finished my bachelor's, but I was chasing other things, and I ended up going to school 5 years later. You know? So please decentralize marriage, unless if that's the only thing that you want, and it's totally okay. You are allowed to want what you want, but in my opinion, I feel like your 20s should be the years of growth, trying new things, knowing yourself, finding God. And then after your glass is full, after you really know who you are, that's when you can start thinking about getting married. Because I feel like getting married is a life commitment. It is not something that you do and then you're just like, I want to quit now. I mean, you can, but it is not easy because there's so many people involved now. It's not about you anymore. So I feel like you should think about that when you are sure that that's where you are in your life. Don't come for me. Another lesson when it comes to relationship that I've learned the hard way, let me take a sip of water, is that if a man wanted, he would. Something that I learned when I was 28. Yeah, that is something that I learned when I was 28. And that is the sad reality, because most of the time we women make excuses for men for how they act. You know, when a guy cheats, and post about it, and someone post about it on social medias, you go in the comments and you find comments like, oh, that's how men are, men cheat, you know, men cannot do the da, 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 da. Let me tell you, if a guy really wants something, they will make it happen. Because I know guys who cannot cheat because they respect their partners. I know guys who go extra miles for their partners. So don't settle for the bare minimum because you're just like, oh, maybe he's going through a lot. Da, 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 da. Nah. By the way, I will do a whole season about things that I learned from my past relationship experiences, because I feel like at this point I need to write a novel or something. There's that gender. There's people, they taught me a lot. And one of the biggest lessons is that when they want to make things work, they do. They just do. So if you are in a situation right now and you're listening to this and you feel like your partner is not doing the maximum, stop making excuses for them, because if he wanted, he would. The last one is that in your 20s, something that I had to learn is that finding your purpose is going to save you a lot. And what I mean about finding your purpose is sitting down with yourself and asking yourself, like, what do I want to be remembered about when I leave this earth? This is something that I learned early on in my 20s. I was like 22 or 23. I was reading this book. They were talking about God, purpose, and everything. And I asked myself, like, who do I want to be? Which impact do I want to leave here on earth? And having a purpose saved me a lot, because there are things I cannot entertain because I know they do not align with who I aspire to be. And when you start moving in your purpose, my English is gone now. When you start moving in your purpose, there's so many bad experiences you don't have because you're so certain about what you want to do with your life. So if you are in your 20s, this is the right time to sit down with yourself and ask yourself, like, what do I want to do with my life right now? Who do I want to be? Where do I want to go? Start having those hard conversations with yourself and start learning more about yourself, because it's going to save you a lot of trouble. I really love when I meet someone in their mid-20s and they already know who they want to be, what they want to do, which career they want to pursue without having the society expectations on them. It really makes me happy, because this is something that I've experienced in my early 20s and it really shaped me and it allowed me to grow, because I knew who I wanted to be and I started looking into what can I do to be that person. So that is something that I've learned and it has really helped me. And that is something that I wish for you. Closing up, I want to say that I want to add on two things. And I want to say that your dreams are valid even if people don't understand them. You are allowed to dream, and your dreams doesn't have to make any sense to anybody as long as it makes sense to you, and you're allowed to be who you want to be. So your dreams are valid. If I know most of the time in your 20s you feel so much confused because there is your parents' expectations, there is the society expectations, especially if you are a woman. People are waiting for you to get married, have kids. Maybe you have different goals for your life, and you have that pressure upon you to do what they want you to do. It takes a lot of courage and self-confidence to know that I am choosing this for myself, I am choosing this for myself. So your dreams are valid. Don't let the society pressure you and make you feel like you need to do A, B, C, D when you want to do X, Y, and Z. So your dreams are valid. And lastly, I want to say that confidence comes from doing, not wanting. I will do a whole season about confidence. And what I can say right now is that you cannot be confident if you don't do what your confident self would do. Let's say, for example, if you are scared of public speaking and you want to get better at that, for you to be confident in public speaking, you need to do it, not to want it. Because there's so many dreams that die because people really wanted to do something, but they do not put the energy to do them. They end up dying with those dreams. So if you want to be confident in who you are, if you want to be confident in your craft, start doing it. And I'm living proof of that. I always wanted to be on a podcast. I even from 2023 on my vision board, I always had a podcast on it, and I would be like, I cannot start my own podcast, but I wish someone can invite me on their podcast. I can be a host. Who said I cannot? Having a podcast is basically sitting down and recording. Who said I cannot have my own podcast? So instead of wanting to be on other people's podcast, I went ahead and opened up my own podcast. So confidence comes from doing, not wanting. And those are the 10 lessons my 20s have taught me so far. Of course, I'm still learning, still growing, and still becoming. And I think that's the beauty of life. We are constantly evolving into new versions of ourselves. And if there is one thing I hope you take from this episode, is that you don't need to have everything figured out. Your journey is allowed to look different, messy, slow, or unexpected. What matters is that you keep growing and becoming. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It really means a lot that you're here. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow or subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss the next one, and feel free to share it with someone who might need to hear this. You can also connect with me on my platforms where I share more about life, growth, and the journey of becoming. Until next time, remember, you're not behind, you're simply becoming.